Okay, we're rolling. All right, what am I doing here? I started working this morning on my next little piece of content and started drawing up my picture for how I wanted to go about this particular piece of content that I was working on. And then I realized I wanted to create kind of an order, or what I call it, like a process flow for creating content. And as you can see, this is my second video here using the new software. And by the time I got through the process flow, I realized I had this illustration, which of course took a lot longer than it needed to in order to create, because I'm playing with a new piece of software. And if you're a creative artist and you were raised by a bunch of crazy artists, you will know the endless rabbit hole of playing with art programs or even office products and stuff like that, like colored pencils and all that great stuff. So instead of spending forever playing coloring book with a new piece of software, I got this thing hammered out to a pretty nice visual concept. And then I realized I should maybe just leave this all as its own standalone before I start getting into things. So that's what I'm doing on this little piece of learning for you. If I can navigate through this well, you will see more. There we go. Okay, the big, hairy, audacious goal. Is that what they call it? Bring order into the chaos by applying timeless and universal wisdom to the local and immediate issues for entrepreneurs and high performers. As a performance coach, I, in a general sense, work with impact-driven entrepreneurs. That's my elevator pitch, if you will, my positioning. But this is grounded by many years of an upbringing, as I said, in artists and creativity, but also in martial arts and lots of meditation, thousands of hours of cushion time, and reading lots of books and all that kind of thing. I'm now coming up with a good way to weave that into my coaching and weave that into how to help with other people. So I'm kind of bringing this to my clients, and by doing these videos, I'm bringing it to the masses. So here you go, social media and YouTube and all 9 yards, right? Everything in the kitchen sink. Here is where we start. I got the little start here. That seemed to have moved. Anyway, what I would call this is the upward and downward spiral, or a spiral of existence, if you will, as you learn by traveling through the world and just your journey of life and your experiences, jobs, relationships, colliding with the physical universe, all of that, right? What you have is moments of awareness, right? Where you're more objective, you're more present to what's occurring. That gives you this awareness. You notice things. I get into what I call the pattern of patterns, right? So pattern recognition is where we start, after we start, I suppose. And let me see if I can do the software stuff. You notice something. I say that the sequence happens in 3 steps, if you will. So step 1 is you notice something for the first time. Step 2, this is where it's a question mark. It could be a coincidence or it could be a pattern, because we're on our road towards seeing a pattern. In the third instance of it, then you might as well just call it a pattern, right? It's no longer just a coincidence. And the point of this is that it gets you to this, what do you call it, a junction, right? Like it gives you to a decision. This is a flowchart objects. So you now have a decision point. And if I get the whole thing on the screen here, what you've noticed as a pattern is going to essentially collide with what you already know. And you have a fork in the road. You have 2 decisions, or you have a decision to make. And that is either to become wise or to remain foolish, as I have it stated here. First, I'm going to go into the downward one, not because we want that first, but I'll go through this and then we'll go where we really want to go. That's where the real conversation is. So as you've noticed a new pattern, and now you're not going to pay attention to it, right? You're going to deny that it exists, right? You could be trying to be healthy. You could be running into patterns with your relationships with others. It's even skill learning, capability learning. I grew up in the trades, building trades. So you learn how to do things and then you reproduce those results over and over again. You get paid to do that. But then you have days where you're lazy and you decide not to do everything you need to do in order to create a product or service at the level that you know you should. And here we go. We're going down by not doing that. In a few steps, we say you're denying your learning by not integrating your new knowledge of the pattern that you recognized. You're also rejecting your perceptions of reality, right? because you had this great circumstance and you had the space and time and experience to learn the thing, but then you reject it. Oops, left button, right button, navigation. I'm getting there. If you're rejecting your perception, that's the first step on the road to withdrawal, right? And if you do the deeper personal inner work of, say, meditation or prayer or contemplation at a deep level, this is where you run into these, and they can be very long periods of time of fog, or kind of the unconscious not being really present to life type of thing. And that starts with your rejection of perception. And so that's why I say the next step is the withdrawal from life, right? If you're either growing or shrinking, that's where I say that leads to withering and leaving, right? Like going out of existence. So this is a dead end, and I colored them red because that's the thing we don't want, right? So if we go back to this decision point and we say we're going to become wise, right? Now you have to take this pattern that we recognized here, and we're going to compare that to your existing awareness, to everything that you know right now, because we're going to have to integrate that, right? Integrate or let go, which is the next stage of this, right? The pattern that you recognize, oops, here we go. We're getting there. You're watching somebody learn how to use their mouse. So find out new knowledge, or you've seen new knowledge and you're not denying it. We're not going down the path of remaining foolish. You also have a choice here, and I think this is important, because you're not here just to consume the entire universe or go through an infinite level of responsibility with everything and that kind of thing. There's also, getting over traumatic events, which from a Taoist standpoint, I'm coming from the ancient Taoist wisdom. I grew up in Western religious tradition, and because of my martial arts experience, I got into the Eastern, and that could be pushing back against the Western. Every kid's got to, push back, retaliate against the way they should be or whatever. So I come from the Taoist perspective, which is where like the I Ching and the Tao Te Ching comes from. And as an example, the Tao Te Ching is often said to be second in line to the Bible as far as number of languages, number of translations and interpretations and printings and stuff. Either or, we wouldn't deny any wisdom that we would have, right? We would incorporate both. But from a Taoist standpoint, this one distinction is really great, right? You can integrate that new knowledge in, so now you have more knowledge, awareness, and capabilities, or you can let go, right? So that knowledge may be how to get rid of a problem or to overcome some of the travails of the past. Like I say, traumatic instances, traumatic moments in life and things like that. You don't want to carry everything along with you. The idea of letting go, and I'm literally just using a couple words to describe this. It's a much more complicated process than that. Certainly knowable, and it's like building a muscle like anything else. But this is what it is. You're learning how to overcome that, and you're lightening the drag of the past so that you can move into the future. What happens then, and this is the opposite of the wither and leave type of thing, is to grow and ascend. And if you're familiar with like the ox herding photos where the Buddha achieves enlightenment and then he comes back and wanders through the world, basically spreading the word of enlightenment or spreading the awareness, right? That's the responsibility as it goes into others, right? That leads us to helping with these new knowledge and capabilities. Basically, life as described as a journey of accumulating useful perspectives or additional perspectives and then deciding what to do with them. So help others and then repeat ad infinitum, and we're back to the loop. If we back out of this thing, isn't this a great new way to present stuff? This is awesome. You will see that the upward spiral can be described as a loop that can continue to repeat and keep getting you further and further along. As you live in the world, this downward spiral, it can also repeat and repeat and repeat, right? And I guess that would lead us to the fact that this green arrow, this fork in the road here, is really that choice point that we have over and over through life. So there you go. That's what I came up with for this. And this was on the road to creating some other stuff. So this is going to be the basic cycle that I'm going to use in explaining a bunch of my stuff. I'm going to start a whole series of things, but it's going to come down to saying, hey, I see some stuff going on, and it could be with my clients or my relationships with my friends or just what I see in the news or whatever, right? Current events. And noticing how, and I'm seeing it as a pattern, and then I see that maybe some ancient wisdom can be applied to that. Timeless and universal principles could be applied to that. And then I'll come up with, I do my morning ritual, and then I come up with finding the camera here, I come up with a nice piece of content that I brainstorm out. And then I make one of these great new videos here. And then I spam the internet with all the social media stuff, and that's the way I create value for you. And this extends my ability to help you outside of one-on-one client work. There's where we're going with that. I hope that helped you out and that was useful, and that's an interesting way. I've seen a lot of comparative type ways of expressing this. This is the way I express it. And so there you go. You can integrate that into your set of perspectives in life, or you can, of course, let it go, or you can remain foolish, I suppose, is the bad red. We don't want that type of thing. All right. I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it was beneficial to you and you got a lot out of it. There's links below that will go to my learning platform, the passion2impactprotocol.com, and all of my socials. I'd love to have a conversation with you, so there's also a link there to my booking scheduler. And if you did like this and would like to be notified, of course, like and subscribe and turn on the notifications and those types of things. And I look forward to getting in touch with you personally, or I will see you on the next video. Take care. Have an awesome day.